Hi guys, it's Olivia. Welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd do something a little bit different for this long form. So while I'm telling you about Jill's existence, I'm going to be drawing. I'm drawing Trinity right now because I'm bored. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's have some fun with it. And it's gonna be pretty fun, pretty cool. So basically, Joel's existence, that is the part, this is what the video is going to be about. So Joel is a character who only shows up, I think, once in the book. I think it's in chapter 20. He was originally never meant to be in the book, but things changed. Things change, and Joel is no different. So if you don't remember from the book, and this book will have a lot of spoilers in it, I'll put that in the title too. I probably should have done that for the other long form I did. But there is a lot of spoilers in this book. I mean, like in this video, not in this book, in this video. I also have my copy right here, so I can reference things if I need to. I'm going to go flip to chapter 20 real quick, just in case I do want to quote something, which I probably won't. It's chapter 20. There we go. Okay, so here we go. So here's the story of Joel's existence. So if you do not remember who Joel is, it is Nathan and Clover's year-old son who was adopted by Persephone when he was born. Now, I don't know if I went into detail. I don't remember if I went into detail about this, but she adopted Joel because Clover and Nathan could not take care of Joel down in the mines. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that somewhere, or it was implied, but that's the whole reason she takes care of Joel. So Joel is Persephone's adopted son, basically. And it's pretty cool, honestly. He was originally never meant to even be in the book. Like I said. Okay, so let me explain how Joel even came up in conversation, like how I even came up with him. This is an interesting story, and trigger warning, baby death will be mentioned. So if you are not comfortable with any type of babies, infants dying, please skip to a point in the video. I will edit this and I'll put a point in the video somewhere over here. So basically, what happened is, this was a year ago, almost. It'll be a year in like a couple weeks. But what happened was, me and my friends had like a school function that we were at, and we were just talking, and I was trying to figure out some more trauma for Nathan and Clover, because we were all just talking about Nathan and Clover for some reason. So one of my friends, one of my friends, her name is Nora. Nora, I'm sorry. if you're not comfortable with me saying your name, let me know, and I'll re-upload this without your name. But her name is Nora. She's a very wonderful person. She has helped me with so many ideas of this book. My second book is dedicated to her. So either way, you'll know who she is. Yeah, so Nora is one of my closest friends. And she came up with Joel. The entire idea of Joel. So this credit goes to her. Like, yeah. So basically what happened was, we were talking about one of the Nathan and Clover's other kids, which we meet in Masquerade. I'm not going to tell you anything else except they do have other kids that you do meet. So we were talking about one of their other kids, and I'm like, I really want trauma for this one child because that's normal. And then my friend looks at me and she's like, what if Nathan and Clover had a baby and it dies in the mines in Perso? And I'm sitting here and I'm like, no, why do I want to do this though? Like, legitimately, that was my attitude. It probably shouldn't have been, but it was. So I remember working on a whole timeline. I have the notebook still where I was working on a timeline. So I went through a couple of iterations trying to figure out how to make this baby die, which is really bad. Joel was unnamed at this point, but what I was thinking was that, okay, Nathan and Clover get married in the mines, which was originally not happening. Originally, they were just a boyfriend and girlfriend. But now they're married. The whole timeline changed because of this baby. Like, literally, the whole timeline of Nathan and Clover's backstory absolutely changed everything. So, basically, there was a couple iterations of Joel baby, as I said, like trying to figure out who Joel is. Originally, I was going to have Max and Clover get married and Joel be their child. And then I realized, wait, no, that's actually kind of messed up. So we're not going to do that. Thank God I did it, because I would have been very disturbed writing that. I'm very disturbed writing a lot of this. Well, okay. Originally, I was writing a baby dying, and I was crying every single time I wrote it. But besides the point. So here are some of the ideas. As I said, here are some of the ideas. So as I said before, Joel could have been Clover and Max's child. Did not happen. Clover, also Joel was originally, I'm trying to remember some other stuff I did. So yeah, he was born in the mines, Joel. And that's still true here. But originally, instead of being saved by Persephone, he would have to go back into the mines with Nathan and Clover, and he died a couple days later, which is horrible. I feel tears. I gotta stop. Anyways, so yeah, that was the whole story. And I went through all my friends, because whenever I have a new idea, or whenever one of my friends has a new idea, I kind of have to like veto it and see if it would make sense. So I'll always talk to my friends who have read my book, or like are curious, or who I've talked to about it. And people are just like, hey, I would just be like, hey, like, what do you think of this idea? So I went to a couple of my friends with the Joel baby death, and they're like, yeah, I think this would really solidify Clover's character arc. It would make it really sad, like all that fun stuff. And I'm like, okay, bet, I guess we're doing this. So, fun fact. Sorry, a notification just came up on my phone and I had to click it off. So, fun fact about this, I had already written my draft 2. And this was one of the reasons I did deep dive editing on that draft. So what happened was basically I rewrote, I should say, both parts 4 and 5 almost completely, just so I could get this baby death across. I'm not even joking. This is a real thing. And I did name the baby, by the way. Like, the baby wasn't just unnamed this entire time. Like, after I was like, okay, this baby should exist, I named him Joel, which means he who hears. Which last night in my long form, I did mention he embodies his name. Again, this was not intentional. I just thought that was such a sad name. I wanted a biblical name for him. I thought Joel was really pretty. That's the whole reason I chose his name. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna be dead anyways, so what's the point? So basically, so I went on a quest to kill a child. Yippee. So basically what happened is, so basically I rewrote pretty much almost all of parts 4 and 5 of my second draft, and I finished that in June, I'm pretty sure. So it was May when I came up with Joel, and I was already in the middle of editing. I was in Atlas's part, and then I finished editing at the end of June, I'm pretty sure. So editing was done, right? Joel's story, done, right? He's dead. Well, I'm back. Hi. Hours later, my phone decided to go out. But we're back. So basically, as I said, Joel's dead now. Joel does not exist, right? He's dead in the story, and I continue to write my other books mentioning his death, basically. So it goes on like this for a month. Just a month. Until there are some changes. Because there was this one day, it was this random day, it was before school started, it was like sometime in August. I was just hanging around, I was writing in my notebook like usual. I was trying to think of, I was just writing. And suddenly, I have this idea, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if Joel lives? Because at this time, I'm planning for draft 3 of Exposed, which is the published version, right here. So basically, I was planning for that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what if Joel lives? And Persephone adopts him. And immediately just like clicked. I was also at the time planning for Masquerade Draft 3 because, fun fact, I hated writing Masquerade so much. But I wanted to find ways that would make me enjoy it. And Joel was the first change I made to both of these books. So basically, I was like, okay, bet. I mean, we have a child now. I'm like, that's a character I've never really used. It's perfect. And also, all I gotta do is write another draft. It's easy to incorporate this back in here. And also, another reason I made Joel live is because as an adult, I imagine him to be pretty fine. Yes, it's a selfish reason, I think. That's like one of the other reasons. Like, he's hot, okay? Like, you cannot. And I also am planning on writing a spin-off series with all my characters' children, and Joel would be in that series. He'd be about 25 at that point, and I'm just like, you know, you're kind of cute. I'm just saying. So yeah, so that's another main reason I put him back in the books. That's it. So basically, but the thing is, Joel was really risky to put in the book at all. And the reason for this was because I had written 2 drafts of Exposed at this point, right? 2 full drafts, and not one of them had mentioned Joel. And this was supposed to be my final draft, and I was using draft 2 as kind of like a template. So the published version, this version right here, this is like my second time showing this in the span of 3 minutes. But this draft right here, draft 2 was a template for, because the scenes are very similar. I rewrote the whole book from scratch. I did not copy and paste scenes. The only things I really copy and pasted were lines I really liked. But this, I didn't really add anything new. The main thing I added that was new was Joel. Now, Joel was mentioned in draft 2, as I said, but as a dead child who had already been dead for a year at that point. But now, in draft 2, if you can remember, Joel is now a year old. He is very much alive, and he is Persephone's adopted son. And he isn't mentioned until part 3, because we don't get to meet any of Joel's parents or really like see Persephone's kind of like maternal side until part 3. So that's kind of where that came from. And the reason why he was, and that was one of the reasons why he was so risky, is because I didn't know where to fit him in. I figured it out eventually, but I like really wanted this to work. Like, this was one of the things I really, really wanted to work. One of the things I really hoped would work, just because I just really wanted this to work out. I think it would be great. And yeah, it happened. I mean, I was able to fit him into chapter 20. I remember the first time I read that chapter, when I first originally wrote it, to my writing class, and they were like, oh my gosh, this is so good. This isn't confusing at all. I'm like, oh, thank God, because another main fear of mine was that it was going to be really confusing when readers read it, because there's a lot of different characters being mentioned. Clover is introduced for the first time, and then we have Nathan mentioned, and we have her father mentioned, and we have Max in there. And also Max was really fun to put in that scene. I'm sorry. I was so happy when I really wanted Max to be in that scene, because that's the only time he's ever actually in the books that isn't in flashbacks. So I'm very happy about that and how it turned out. Yeah, but chapter 20 is one of my favorite chapters, just because we get Joel back. And Joel is such a good kid. Like, we get to see this a lot. He attaches himself to Persephone, but also he attaches himself to Clover, which is really good too. So basically, I don't know if I ever explain this in the book. I could. I'm going to definitely explain it later on in the series. But the thing is, Nathan and Clover had to make a deal for Joel to even survive. Now, I'm telling you this story because it's going to be mentioned in the series anyways, and it isn't really a major spoiler. It's stuff that's going to come up in flashbacks. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a Clover flashback with Joel's birth. So this is all going to be explained then, and I don't really care too much about the flashback. I care about the flashbacks, but I don't care about too much about spoiling them, is what I'm saying. Except when they're really big in the character backstory, but we already know Joel exists at this point, so I honestly don't care. So spoilers for book 3. Anyways, so if you don't want to hear spoilers for book 3, bye-bye. So basically, what is going to happen is, well, what has happened technically before book 1 is that Clover and Nathan had Joel a year after they were married. So it's a weird timeline, because they were married 2 years before the event of Exposed, and then a year before Exposed, Clover got pregnant with Joel and gave birth to him. Like, Joel was born a year before Exposed. A year and a couple months, give or take. So what that was is basically like cute little baby, and basically Persephone delivered their child. It's a very underrated thing that I wasn't really going to say, but Persephone helped deliver Joel, and because she was the only one who was available at the time to do it. So she literally gave birth to Joel. Like, didn't give birth, but she assisted with the birth, I guess. And that's very traumatic in itself to have a baby while you're forced to work in mines. Again, the Clover's backstory haunts me. And this is one of the reasons why. But basically, Persephone's like, okay. So Persephone feels bad for the couple. She's like, I don't want this child to die, and also I feel kind of bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give Nathan and Clover a bit of an incentive. So what she ends up doing is Persephone makes a deal. It's like, okay, I take care of your child. Clover has to come up here to help me do things, and you guys just need to. I'll keep this a secret from Paul, because Paul is a very big proponent on killing children, as we can see in chapter 12, and also he really doesn't like Harold. So Persephone is very, and she loves kids. So she's like, I will take your child. Yeah, so basically, she takes the child, she takes poor little Joel, and, they chill. And Clover comes up to his room to, do what Persephone can't, basically. So, yeah, and that's one of the last times she ever does that in chapter 20. Because it's mentioned her doing it one more time during the arena meeting, which is why her and Nathan were able to escape. This is mentioned in part 4, I'm pretty sure. It's like a line, or part 4 or 5, where she's like, oh yeah, I was taking care of Joel at the time we weren't at the arena meeting, because that's when we tried to escape. So she was in the room with Joel. And that's like heartbreaking when you think about it. Like, when you think about this, really, it's heartbreaking, because Clover is a mother, first time mother. She's 20 in the books. She had Joel at 19, which is young. It's really young. I really debated a lot with the timeline here because I didn't want her to be too young. As I was saying, Clover is 20 in the books, in Exposed. But the thing is that I debated a lot with this timeline about when she gave birth to Joel, because I didn't want it to be too young. I didn't want her to be so, what's the word? It's too young, is what I'm saying. Like, I didn't want her to be 16 or something like that, because I'm like, I don't want, like, her to deal with that on top of everything else I'm having her deal with. So it was nice. She got pregnant with Joel. When did she get pregnant with Joel? This is also going to be revealed in the books later on, but I'm just trying to remember my timeline. Pretty sure she was 19 when she gave birth, and when she got pregnant and gave birth. So she was 19, which isn't so bad, but she's a first-time mom. She's forced to work in mines. Again, her story is really tragic. And then she had to leave her child behind to try and escape, because she couldn't take him, which I feel like is such an underrated part of this entire book. It's just like, oh, this poor kid. Yeah. And she even had to leave him behind the second time because she didn't know where he was, and that hurt. That, like, she lives with debilitating guilt. So does Nathan. We have to see this a lot in book 2, about the debilitating guilt that they feel. Like, oh my god, like, oh my gosh, we left our child, like, alone, and we don't know where he went. It's just horrible. It's heartbreaking. And yeah, so I'm giving you guys a lot of book 3 spoilers right now, because that's when we get a Clover point of view, and that's when I'm really going to show these flashbacks. I'm trying to debate whether I'm going to do 5 flashbacks for Clover, because a lot of her story is just so rich and heartbreaking, and she's one of the characters I relate most with, personally. Anyways, so yeah, that's part of the reason why Joel was just so risky, because I just didn't know where to put him, and then also I didn't want to give Clover more trauma, which I still succeeded in doing. Like, she still has a bunch of trauma, but I mean, like, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, is what I'm saying. I'm trying to think if there was, like, anything else I wanted to say about Joel, and I can't, but he's such a sweet boy. Like, really, I'm so excited for, more of his story to be revealed in other books. Like, I promise, I feel like there's more there's more to his story. There is. Like, it did not end when the facility burned, as I'm sure you all could infer by my very what's the word? Non, I don't know. My ending was very not vague. I was very clear, like, oh, they could be alive, type thing. Like my epilogue is like, it was as if someone like Persephone was behind him or something. I think that's how the book ends in the epilogue. But, you know, Joel just, he's great. We love him. Yeah, and again, we don't really get to see much of him in this book, but I promise in other books, more of his story is revealed. You get to see more of inner conflicts. It's wonderful. And it's one of my favorite things to really talk about because, again, Joel wasn't even meant to be in the books. He wasn't even a idea. So shout out to Nora. She may not be watching this. I don't know if she is, but shout out to you because without you, he wouldn't have existed. And also, she will probably be coming up in the comments saying that he's her child, and he is. I mean, like, she has legally adopted him at this point. She's his second mother. We all love her, so shout out to Nora. And yeah, I can't think of anything else, honestly, I have to say about this sweet kid. So thank you all for listening to me ramble, and thank you for listening to some spoilers for book 3 and beyond. And yeah, and also here's my drawing for Trinity. If it gets finished. So I just did an outline. And yeah, thanks for listening. I think this is something I'm going to be doing more often. We're doing like the drawing while I'm talking, which I thought worked out really well. So yeah. And what else? And yeah, I'll put up another book for a long form soon. Thanks, guys.